spoiler alert, we're in anime. So this is Women in Anime. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves for you. Do we have until 2:45 or 3? 3? Okay, cool. So the way this usually goes is, well, you know what? We'll do it however you want. We'll talk about our experiences, women in not only anime, but the animation industry, the video game industry. A lot of us are not only voice actors, but some of us are directors, some of us are writers, some of us have our own personal projects that we're working on. So just being a woman in general, if you have any Q&A, you provide the Q, we'll provide the A. And it doesn't have to be just about being a woman, just in the industry in general. We're all up here and there are no dudes, so we get center stage. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, ladies.
Hello, I'm Natalie Hoover. What do I do for a living? I'm a voice actress, and I'm in video games and animation. It's a really cool job. Yeah, thanks for having me, and it's a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Dawn M. Bennett. I do the same thing. I voice act for animation, video games. I started in 2014, and yeah, that's me. Hello.
Nice. Hey, I'm Felicia Angel. I am also a voice actor in many different things. For me, I do animation, games, commercial work. And I have also been an assistant and full-on ADR director at Funimation on some titles, so I got that going for me, which is nice.
And I am Tia Ballard. I am a voice actress for cartoons and video games mostly. I also direct, and I did a little writing dabbling here and there in the anime world. Never again. But that job is really hard. So does anybody have any questions? We can go ahead and get this started. And if you don't, we get to ask you questions.
I've already got one locked and loaded for the audience. There is a girl over on my right-hand side in this lovely white and pink dress, and I want to know, did you buy it? Did you dye it? How do I get one?
I bought it at a discount store in the mall, and I can't stop.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Did you have a question? Thought I saw your hand up. Oh, no?
No.
Easy.
Well. Any?
Oh.
So.
Yes. Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, nice.
Ooh.
You have all the power.
After getting cast for a role for anime, have you guys ever stopped and actually started reading the manga? Or do you guys just do the voices and that's it, and then not realize what anime did I just do? And then, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I think you'd be wonderful to start that, Felicia.
So, not always, but sometimes. There was a show that we did as a simuldub a couple years ago that I'm now 100% obsessed with. It's called Gangsta, and you need to watch it. Thank you guys for nods of recognition. They watched it. Yay. So with Gangsta, I didn't know anything about the show, and it's one of the few simuldubs that I actually auditioned for. I was pulled into for selects to audition, and then the auditions were played for the Japanese licensors. And after the audition, I got to see some of what we dubbed part of it as the audition. I was like, this looks super cool. And so I started looking it up, and now I own all the manga. I own all of Gangsta Cursed. I have Warwick pillows and keychains and stuff, and I'm just absolutely head over heels for it. And I also own a few of the light novels for Devil is a Part-Timer because I wanted to know what happened.
Oh, yes. That one was good.
I wrote a few episodes of Nanbaka when Aaron Dismuke, the writer and director, got a little overwhelmed, so I stepped in to help, and I fell in love. I was so upset about it because I started watching it before I wrote it, and as soon as I watched the first episode, I was like, I love this. I'm so angry. I don't have time for another fandom. And so I jumped right into the manga and absolutely loved that story. What about you ladies?
You go
Oh,
first.
when I first got cast as Frosh in Fairy Tale, Fairy Tale's really long. And like I tried watching it from like start up until Frosh was gonna appear, and I think I stopped at like episode 40 because I'm like, my brain is fried because I watched it all in like a week.
It's like overloading a circuit. You're just,
I'm like, okay, but I wanted to see like, what is Frosh about? Like, I really wanted to know my character better, and then I looked, and I was able to find like the side story where Frosh gets lost, and I found out, it's not really part of like the main story, so who knows if it'll ever be in the anime? But I thought, this is cute to know about my character, and then they did make an episode of it, so I'm like, I'm really glad I looked.
I got really into Princess Stride Alternative while I was recording. I actually bought the video game in Japanese, and I played the entire thing, and I dated every one of the boys, and I regretted nothing. And then I found out there's light novels and manga, and I went, I'm so happy I read and speak Japanese, because this just means more. And my bank account didn't like that, though. But I got really obsessed. I love harems.
you got to do this sort of in reverse with Cardcaptor Sakura, right?
Yeah, I read Cardcaptors as a kid, and now I'm obsessively looking for the manga here, and I've stopped buying it. I need to buy all of it. But when I found out I was in that, I instantly went to Kinokuniya, and I went, I'd like to buy all your manga, please. And it was a great experience. I love Cardcaptors. Good question.
Yeah.
Any others? Don't be shy. There's a beautiful
I have
mic.
one for you guys real quick that is not about what you're wearing. Just while we've got you here, I like to ask raise your hand if you know what a simuldub is.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Hey.
good job, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. I like to lead with that because that's pretty much exclusively the process for us at Funimation now. And there are a lot of folks who don't know what it is or how the anime gets to you with our voices in it.
That's true.
So, yay, you all passed though, so I don't have to
Nice.
explain it.
That's for everyone.
You can ask us anything about the animation industry in general, not just be about being a woman in it. And if you don't, I'm going to start asking you because I'm curious what you're watching, not just anime, but animation related in general because that's my passion. What kind of shows are you into?
I love Gravity Falls.
I'm going to start.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah?
I'm a
Gravity
twin, so I love
Falls?
it.
Nice.
Steven Universe.
You look like someone who loves Steven Universe. If I had to draw a Steven Universe fan, I'd draw Dawn. It'd end up being Dawn, I think. Just like, she just looks like a Steven Universe fan, right? I don't know why.
Look at
Right?
beautiful hair.
Can we stereotype that? What are you guys watching? You got to be watching something because you're here. Like, you invested
True.
time in an anime convention. What? Transformers? Nice, nice.
What iteration of Transformers? All of them? Are you going back to like the Rodimus Prime days? You guys are like way back. What?
Winner, winner.
That's awesome. What else? Nice. That's a simuldub, right? That's going on right
Yeah.
now.
That one's a lot of fun.
Awesome. What are you guys watching?
I just finished Voltron, and I have a lot of feels, because Shiro's my boy. And anything that's on Netflix, because it's the only account I have.
Do y'all have any like favorite show, like cartoon? I'm just being curious right now. This is just me being a fan right now. What are like your top like go-to like animation in general? Like what do you love? You guys too. If there's anything that just speaks to your heart. Dude.
They are.
First 10 or first 4? Wow, you're a very kind fan. Yes. I feel like it shifted gears on us when the movie came out. The writing team changed, and it got very flapjack-esque and kind of went away from the
The
first.
That's
Slapjack humor.
okay. So the Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, you
Yes.
guys.
Yes.
Before its time, that it hurts my heart because I loved Flapjack. It's when we rewatch still, and I feel like it paved the way for Adventure Time to be what Adventure Time. And I love Adventure Time too. I'm not like man, it's Pretender, but it just makes me so sad that we missed the boat on Flapjack as an audience in general. But I think we hadn't had that bridge. It's so adult animation adjacent. It like brings in that sense of I don't know, instability. Like you don't feel super safe in the world of Flapjack. Yes, with the absurdity and the sort of, creepy thing of the week. Is anybody else absolutely terrified of Candy Wife like I was? Thank you. My husband loves Candy Wife, and I'm like,
But she's so sweet.
It's funny as a gag when she's animated and drawn. Whenever they have to show her like as a puppet, it stopped being funny.
Disturbing.
It's like we just got real with Candy Wife.
I will say my favorite character in that show is the mermaid that turns into an angel. I loved her.
We do that bit in our house all the time, and all your dreams will come true.
Even the scary ones.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm waiting for her Bee and Puppy Cat.
Same.
I love Bee and Puppy Cat. I love cats though. It's so good.
Is it a puppy or is it a cat?
Right? You never know. I love Gumball.
That's a testament to a show right there. I don't know if you guys are. Yeah.
It's so good. I've actually laughed during that show. It's pretty delightful.
Did y'all see the episode where the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared crew made puppets? Oh my gosh, it was so good. I never watched Gumball other than that episode, and oh,
I laughed so hard.
nice. Dragon Ball episode? Oh, that's cool.
It's so funny. I love it.
We got really into Over the Garden Wall.
Oh yes, I'm obsessed with that.
It's art. It is straight up like that is. These are the stories we can tell with this medium, and that's something Tia is super passionate about animation that we talk about, and that now I look at is why are we using this medium to tell this story? And that did it. It was. I don't think it could have been done
Not any other
live
way.
action, and it's playing with the styles, playing with how far you can take things within the realm of animation. And now I get frustrated if I watch a movie or something. I'm like, why were they animated except to make them all animals? Like, there's no other reason for that. And now I get mad, and it's all Tia's fault.
My thing is Over the Garden Wall is the epitome of what good adult animation should be.
Yes.
From there, the other step down is like rewarding the kids with really good, point of good adult animation. Because like if you're paying attention to what the show's about, it's really great. And then from there, it's like I don't mind things like Family Guy and South Park, but I feel like you can keep doing more with the medium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
BoJack
rewatching
Horseman.
BoJack in preparation for the new season next month to just ruin my life. It's amazing, and it's a character study, and it also it can disarm you because it on the one hand is just a psychodrama of just deep emotional depths, and it's a show about a talking horse.
Yeah.
Like it plays the range of that really well, I think.
Now I just want to go home and watch cartoons.
I do too.
Do what? It's such a beautiful portrayal of mental illness, I think. It's just, it's so lovely.
And,
It's really
yeah, what you
good.
got?
That's okay. You may want to grab the mic, though. You're a little quiet.
Do you see his shirt, Tia?
I know I love your shirt.
Let's go.
Yes.
Here we go.
Anyway, Tia, Felicia, I have a friend who's a big fan of your work but couldn't make it to the convention this year. He's a U.S. Marine and it's a drill weekend, so would it be all right if I had you two say something to him, or would you rather prefer to wait and do it after the panel?
Probably after the panel would be
banquet.
more appropriate, but we'd be happy to do that for him.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I'll meet you. I'll talk to you after the panel.
Yeah,
then.
Yes.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Y'all are talking about artistic animes and depth of characters and stuff. So completely not that. What the heck with Pop Team Epic? What is y'all?
Dude, Pop Team Epic is pop culture satire. It is throwing memes in your face at this rapid fire pace. It's brilliant. It is brilliant. It's a condensation of all the time you spend just scrolling through the internet ad nauseum.
Combined.
And I love the spoilers. If you haven't seen Pop, can you spoil Pop Team? I'm about to, I guess. But so there's the first half of the show, and then they do basically the exact same thing for the second half of the show, and it's surrealism, but that is our consumption culture at this point. It is high art, and I can't even. I'm not even joking. I think it is brilliant, and it is a commentary on just internet culture.
Yes.
And also it's little girls flipping the bird. I
It's
love it.
WarioWare, the anime.
Oh my gosh.
She has not watched near, but she's basically the casual scrub whose biggest anime is Boku no Hero, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know?
This is a safe space
I
here.
watched that and I went, oh my god, there's a reference to Cyborg 99 in this, and I just like was looking at all these references and I could just kind of blink, and she was like, isn't it funny? It's so random.
Right.
It's fun to watch it's funny as a study of the fan who doesn't know enough.
And I think it speaks to the success of it as a show, though, that someone who isn't clocking these rapid fire references is still getting some sort of enjoyability out of it.
That's the beauty of animation too. You can do so much with it.
That's true.
It's so cool.
That was my thing with One Punch Man. For a while, I would not recommend One Punch Man as a first time, like, if I wouldn't say it's a first time anime because I'm like, you won't get a lot of what's happening if you haven't been watching since like the 90s, and you get why this is so funny that you can keep finishing a fight in less than 130 seconds.
It's just one punch.
The third episode arc of Dragon Ball Snake Way.
Where they're just screaming.
And then I just got over it, and I was like, well, it really speaks to the show of how good it is that a lot of people can enjoy it without that context of fight animes tend to be really, really, really long. But the show just manages to do that a lot better, and I think that's also what's good about My Hero Academia. I don't call it Boku no Hero. I'm sorry. The English title is in the name. MHA for sure. And I think that's what's really great about MHA is because it also takes that kind of same principle of let's not have the fights that long, but it doesn't do it to the extent that it's comedic. So in that, what is your favorite show that has taken its genre and just went like, screw it, and just turned it on its head? What is your favorite satire of a show?
Oh, satire, I don't know that I necessarily have, but when you're talking about that, I immediately think of Hajime no Ippo.
Oh yes.
It takes sports anime and what you think of with that, and I think it's transcendent to genre. I was just talking about this with a friend. I'm so used to, I'm not, I like short shows in general. So I grew up on DBZ and sort of the longer shonen, but you know, these days I'm not like sitting down and like, let's go One Piece. Like I'm gonna watch all of you. I like to know that eventually I'll have a complete story. But Ippo is one for me that I'm just like, 4,000 episodes, let's do it. I don't care. Because what it manages to do is instead of it being a constant struggle against another, like they're stronger than me, they're the enemy, it's just people. It has such tremendous heart. And with the very rare exception of some truly vile villains, it is about two people coming together, doing their best. And they each have lives and emotional stakes and, actual risk involved in whether or not they win or lose. And there are times where, Ippo is so tremendously kind and sweet and funny as a character, and he's easy to root for. And there have been times where I'm like, can he just lose so this guy wins? I like this guy so much. And you get emotionally invested in it. And I think that is it breaks the genre of, it's not just like, I'm gonna punch you harder than I've punched anybody else. It's like they form actual bonds and friendships and grow as characters. And I love that.
I'm obsessed with Shin-chan.
Nice.
I am really obsessed with it because the first time I saw it, I really thought it was a children's show. So I go into the mindset thinking, oh, it's gonna be, cute. And then this little boy's just dancing with his butt out. And I go, this is really funny. And now I own all the seasons that are available.
Oh,
it's like the best show to cling to and laugh. It's great. I love Shin-chan.
It's like, in that sense, like, the animation style versus, like, the actual subject material, panty and stocking.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I remember when I first saw it, like, obviously the name says enough, but I'm like, anytime I would show it to someone, they're like, oh, it looks like the Powerpuff Girls. And then you watch it. And it's not. And, like, also along with the fact that it could switch between animation styles, and then there was that one weird episode with, like, the vomit monster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that's another one that, like, kind of breaks the mold a bit.
Absolutely love the animation style. Oh, I would love to see more shows with that type of beauty. It's just gorgeous.
I just thought of a satire one, and I'm interested if it's gonna be yours.
Oh, well, I can't think of one, so you go ahead.
Happy Tree Friends.
Oh, I was thinking anime. Yeah.
Yeah, Happy Tree
That was
Friends.
messed up. I thought that'd be a kid's show, too.
I mean, I guess it depends on the kid.
I'm really close with one of the writers of Happy Tree Friends, and it all started when I was in college. Well, actually, it was in high school when we met. But part of my college thesis was analyzing fictional characters, like breaking them down like humans. Like, okay, we have SpongeBob. What motivates him? He's this old. He has a job but no license. Why? Why does he not have his driver's license? Things like that, and you just pull it apart. And obviously, the writers of SpongeBob, there's so many different ones, but they don't have, like, I'm sure at Nickelodeon they're like, okay, we got to write a goofy, episode about the Krusty Krab, but why doesn't he have his license? Let's talk about the deeper side of SpongeBob. But you pull all the little tidbits from episodes that multiple writers have done, and then you compile them together and create a well-rounded human character. And that was my thesis, that you can do that and analyze work that way. So that's one of my greatest passions, is to do that. And I did it with Happy Tree Friends, believe it or not. Oh gosh, it's been so long. What's the soldier's name?
Oh, gosh.
Flippy. Oh, Flippy, right?
I think so.
It sounds right.
If only we all had tiny computers in our pockets
Flippy.
at all times.
I loved him, and I loved the beaver with the nubs.
Like my favorite.
Yes. 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 Oh my gosh, I love it.
Happy Tree
I don't know if this
Speaking
is a
truth.
satire, but I just started thinking Super Jail is one of my favorite shows. We watched it the other day. Did y'all watch Super Jail? Have y'all seen Super Jail? Oh my gosh. It's like if Willy Wonka owned a prison. It's my favorite. I saw some hands. Yes. Look at you go. Thank you.
Come on, man.
I don't know why I'm Aaron Neville now. Just
Do you have a role that has changed your outlook on life more than any other? And if so, what was it and why?
Outlook on life.
Look on life.
I would say Danganronpa because it's literally believing in hope and positivity and not falling in despair. I think that's what America really needs is more self-care in the sense. I lost my voice. But that role in the franchise really means a lot to me too. It's really messed up, but it has a lot of good meanings in the end. Go hope.
Man, I am the worst at picking singular things, so sorry, bear with me, I'll go fast. I immediately thought of three that just came up. Was Nozomi Moritomo in The Rolling Girls, which nobody wooed for like gangsta, that's fine. No, it's a great show. It's a girls' road trip, and Nozomi goes through one of the loveliest little character arcs, and I don't know, I felt so close to her through the entire journey because I saw a lot of myself in her as a person. And toward the end, instead of it just being like, she's optimistic and helpful, and that's how she starts and that's how she ends, she starts wanting to help, and she comes into her own and finds her strength and finds her feet, and there's this character that she really looks up to. And in the end, that character is like, you're like my little sister character, I need to help you. And she's like, no, I've got this. We found ourselves on the same level. And I just thought that was beautiful. And it was just the strength and sort of a gentle coming of age. She didn't radically change as a character. She just found her own footing. Alex from Gangsta was huge for me. It's loving broken people, finding beauty in the ugliest of places. It's a really tremendous story. And then Asahina from Danganronpa. The experience of recording her was hugely cathartic for me. I had suffered a personal loss in my life that mirrors the one that she suffers in the show. And being able to, in this sort of vacuum, she gets angry, she breaks down, and it was things I had not done yet as a person. And so in this environment where I feel strong and controlled and supported, being able to use acting and pretend to face those things was just tremendous, and it's an experience I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life.
Beautiful. I really enjoyed just recently playing 02 in Darling in the Franxx. Thank you. The whole show is about this girl who feels like a monster. She feels unlovable. And slowly learning that not only is she valuable, but she's very lovable. And I think that's something that I sometimes struggle with, and I think many of us struggle with that at times. Like, I'd be lovable if I was human. Something like that. That was her MO. And by the end of it, it was this beautiful love story about two people that were flawed and found each other and found value in their differences and the ways that they were alike. And gosh, it was such a beautiful show. And I was so grateful to be a part of that for 2 seasons. It just really blessed me. How about you, Miss Dawn?
I played a character named Satsuki in Konohana-Kitan, and throughout the whole season, Satsuki deals with this feeling of like being less than her sister. Satsuki wanted to be a priestess. Her sister was picked instead, and so Satsuki works at an inn, like a Japanese hot spring. And so the entire time, people tell her, oh, you're so capable, you're a jack of all trades, you can do anything. But Satsuki keeps having this internal problem of like, well, why didn't I become a priestess if I'm so amazing? And it's weird because it's like, from her perspective, all she hears is like this negativity from other people when it's not what they mean at all. Her parents were like, oh, let's have Satsuki work at the inn instead because she's so good at everything. But in reality, what it was is that her sister doesn't know how to do anything else. That's why they're like, let's just make her a priestess because she doesn't know what to do. So what Satsuki deals with is imposter syndrome, which a lot of people have, like just that feeling of like, I don't know what to do, I feel worthless and all that. And so playing her, like it hit pretty hard, like that feeling of like, oh, I'm not that great at all when you don't know the thoughts of the people around you. And there's also a moment where this character talks to Satsuki, and she tells her, you ended up where you needed to be. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a very tear-breaking, what am I saying? Jerking. It's a very tear-jerking show. If you ever want to have a good cry, watch Konohana-Kitan.
That's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
What else do you have?
Favorite type of characters?
Oh,
Any preferences for the types of characters that you like to play?
I like to play wacky, fun, Looney Tune type characters that test my comedy skills. Something that lets me feel like I'm on a Saturday morning cartoon. That's always fun. What about you ladies?
I don't know if I have a specific type. Like I know the ones that are just right in the pocket. You know, can do them in my sleep. Are the peppy, spunky, like community oriented, like upbeat girls. Like, because that's just who I am. It's like show up and be yourself today. Like done. But I like a challenge. I do. I like things that feel a little uncomfortable. And this, I'm about to get hippy dippy actor on you, but something happens to me when I find a character, and it feels like I always think of, because this is how old I am, the movie A Knight's Tale. There's this like shot that they do on the tip of the lance when it finds the pocket, and it's just in the line, and that's how it feels for me. And I'm just like, I'm there, and when it's done, you kind of come back into yourself, and that's what I live for. And one of the most recent examples of that was actually Chain Chronicle. Juliana was a character type I hadn't. Oh, thank you, 10. Was a character type I hadn't gotten to play before. She was tender and strong and really dimensional, and kind of like, it took me a bit to find her, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I think you told me, it was that thing like, I want to hear it from your belly, like bring it up, just her emotion, her power, and I was like, oh, I found her. Oh my gosh, you guys. But yeah, so those, I love the ones where you can just lose yourself in them a little bit.
Yes. It's so
Or do we find ourselves?
I noticed I've been getting cast more for them like in the past year, but just like very like angry tomboy girls.
Great.
I love them though. They're my favorite. Because like recently I was cast as Nagisa in Hanabado, the badminton anime. If you don't know.
Hey, it's a good mitten show.
Oh my god.
Baka.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you're fine. But like what you were saying, like Chain Chronicle and Fina, just working on that anime as a whole, it was very different from like other anime that I'd worked on before, because Miss Tia challenged me as an actor every single time I got into the booth, and every single time I left, I felt like I'd learned something. Especially with Fina's like very emotional scenes where she feels like she's lost. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Riko's character.
I always just want to call him Haruhiro because it's like his Grimgar character.
Oh yeah.
Don't look at me. I directed it like a year ago. I don't remember his name either.
I was like, I'm gonna feel so bad if I don't remember
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, like there was a scene where I'm crying over the fact that I've lost Riko's character to the darkness,
Oh,
and
yes.
like we kept doing it because you were like, no, I know you can give me more. And like at the end of it, when we were like finally satisfied with it, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna need a break. But yeah, like Tia's a really good director.
Oh,
FYI.
thank you.
I would definitely say sweet, soft characters, shy characters. But the one time I really was challenged was in Garo. I play, spoiler alert, murderous wife. And I don't like being angry. I don't think anyone should like being angry. But that's something, an emotion I always tend to avoid. But after that session, I was shaking. And I realized, oh, this is what it feels like to be so in center, in the sense of like I'm in touch with my feelings. But then the entire day I had to like calm myself, so I went to the spa, and it was great. But it's also nice to be challenged, because it's always good to reach in your pocket and have those characters. But whenever you get a challenging role, it really just levels you up in a sense, I feel. I love it.
That's wonderful. Oh, yes.
If you guys could be a part of any current show or game, what would it be?
Could you please repeat the question because our viewers get angry when they hear dead air?
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Which of your characters do you think would be most angry when there's a bunch of dead air on a YouTube video?
Da da da. There's no dead air right now. I'm making noise.
For them to hear us, and I just.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
You're fine. You're fine.
No,
I,
you're
I
fine.
didn't know
Thank
we were
you.
filming.
Y'all,
Here
if
we are.
you're live streaming watching this, you better be nice, because you're not here in person. Be nice and patient. We love you.
So if you guys could be a part of any current show or a game, what would it be?
I would be Princess Peach. So fast. I absolutely love her. I love her personality. She, in Smash Brothers, one of the Smash Brother intros, she's got her parasol and she's sashaying in front of this massive explosion.
Oh my god.
And that's who I want to be. I want to be Grace under fire, completely controlled and graceful under this just crazy life, just untouchable. That's who I want to be.
This is just on the top of mind recognition. There is a new game coming out called SNK Heroines. And
Yes.
I'm a Fatal Fury King of Fighters fan from way back. I was Terry Bogard a little bit yesterday. But so they just announced a female version of Terry for SNK Heroines, and I would love to be her, or my Shiranui ever in anything.
I know it's like pretty much, I'm pretty sure it's already done. They just delayed the release, but man, that Spyro remake though. I would love to be in that. Either that or like Steven Universe. Yes.
Hands down, my favorite game ever to this day is Final Fantasy IX. And Garnet Till Alexandrios would be literally a dream come true. But my dream already came true because I'm Tomoyo in Card Captors, and that was my childhood dream when I was 7. So, yeah, I love Card Captors.
We probably have time for one more question. Yes. Do no dead air, no dead air, no dead air, la 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 la.
Hi.
Hey.
So Natalie kind of touched upon this, so unless you have another one you can think of, just please share. What were one of your most challenging roles and why?
Man. Gosh. Oh, Sarika Onoe from Chaos Child
Oh, yes.
was cool in a lot of ways. So I didn't know where that show was going, if you guys have seen the show, but she starts off as a totally different character than she ends, and it's one of my favorite. Joel McDonald was the director on that. Rico Fajardo played my better half in that. We were very close in that show. And he's a very close friend of mine in real life. So there was this interesting sort of safety in playing against him and being able to anticipate where his performance would go if he hadn't tracked yet. And all of that falls away. There are moments with her where like I came up against some stuff emotionally, but it was also really difficult. There was an OVA where I was meant to hate Rico.
No.
And I had a hard time because it was Rico. I was like, he's my friend. And just having to accent, and I knew the character's entire journey together, but having to be like, she's not there in this moment. You can't be there in this moment. Call him a jerk and really mean it. Like, say horrible things to him. I was like, I'm sorry, my friend. But yeah, I loved that role, and I got to have a huge emotional breakdown right at the end.
That is really
As I do every season, but they recorded this one.
As I said before, Fina in Chain Chronicle, because Tia challenged me a lot.
Oh, thank you, girl.
Of course.
Gosh, I keep going back to 02, but she's just the one I came off of recently. I couldn't phone it in. Not that I ever phone it in. We don't ever try to, but you know, you do Happy the Cat long enough, you could go in there and la la la, I'm silly and goofy, and you don't. I'm thinking about the Sonic food I want right after this session. But I could not do that with 02. I couldn't do that. I can't do that with many and most of my characters, but 02, I could not fake her emotion. I could not fake her fear. I had to be with her. And I learned that I couldn't come in right when I woke up in the morning. I had to get through a little bit of my day, wake up my feelings, wake up my emotions, and then I was there with her. And it was such a strange thing because if I wasn't there with her, I could almost feel her loneliness.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of weird. But
Hippy-dippy acting stuff. We're here.
yeah.
We're doing it.
It's you know, she's lonely in this scene, and I, the actor, can't even provide her an accurate representation of her own loneliness. And I felt bad about that. So there were times I had to leave the booth and tell Clifford, the director, I need a second. Let me just walk around the building. And I'd walk around the building until I found her, and then I'd come back and we'd do it. And when we got there. And it was a cool experience. It was awesome. I look forward to more of that.
Beautiful. I binged watched it, and it's so good. You made me cry so much. I would say Akipa's trip was a really learning experience for me. I have very, very small lungs, so she has to talk very fast. And I really, really improved in the sense of breath power, and now I just feel like a dragon because I have so big lungs now. But yeah, that show was a cool, funny experience.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us for this
you.
panel. We were wonderful. And thank you, people on the live stream.
Sorry we didn't know you were happy.
Yeah, so we didn't know you were angry. Enjoy the rest of the convention, guys. Thank you so much for sharing this hour with us.
Thank you. Stay hydrated.